Live from Chicago, this is News 3 Now's special coverage of the Democratic National Convention.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to Live at 4. We are live here in Chicago for the final night of the Democratic National Convention. Susan is off, so Maddie Heinz is sitting here with me. Hello.
Hello, I'm so excited to be here.
Nice to be here with you.
Of course, we're still here on Media Row in the United Center. Brady keeps looking over his shoulder, trying to see the chicks, so that's where we're at right now. But we are gearing up for a big night of speakers.
Yeah, absolutely. And tonight, the Democratic Party will complete its ticket as Vice President Kamala Harris is set to formally accept the Democratic Party's nomination for president.
Yeah, she'll focus on her record, setting apart her agenda from former President Donald Trump's, and her optimistic vision for the country. Some other notable speakers include Arizona Senator Mark Kelly, former Representative Gabby Giffords, and Wisconsin's own Tammy Baldwin.
And we talked with her earlier today, so that is coming up later on in Live at 4. And we are continuing to have team coverage from the DNC with our political reporter Will Keneally and Braden Ross, who are both on the DNC floor, along with our other group of anchors, Charlotte DeLeste and Eric Franke, who will join us later at the Lincoln Park Zoo.
Well, let's start with Will Keneally. He has more on what Wisconsin Senator Tammy Baldwin could focus on when she takes the stage tonight. Hey, Will.
Hey, yes, so we're down here on the convention floor for the final night of the Democratic National Convention. Now, as you mentioned, we're expecting Wisconsin Senator Tammy Baldwin to speak in prime time. I think part of that harkens back to Wisconsin is a key swing state for Democrats to win this fall. And also, Baldwin is up for re-election, so that's a seat that Democrats desperately want to keep as well. So now we spoke to Democratic analyst Scott Ross earlier today about what we might expect to hear from Baldwin when she takes the stage tonight.
I think she's going to do what she does for Wisconsin, which is talk about her accomplishments, talk about getting people the help that they need, protecting reproductive freedom, working across the aisle to create jobs and to create opportunities here in the state of Wisconsin, which is something she has done throughout her career.
Now, we'll expect to hear from other key senators throughout the night, and then, of course, headlining it will be the presidential nominee, Kamala Harris, formally accepting her party's nomination to be on the fall ballot. And we'll continue to have live coverage on the ground here from the floor of the convention throughout the night. But for now, reporting from the United Center, Will Keneally, News 3 Now.
Well, thank you. And later in the show, we sit down with Senator Tammy Baldwin as she gives us a preview of that speech tonight.
Well, Maddie ratted me out. I keep looking for the chicks because they are set to perform the national anthem tonight at the Democratic National Convention. The music group, formerly known as the Dixie Chicks, is set to take the stage on the closing night of the DNC. Now, the booking is notable for a number of reasons. For one, country music has a historically conservative-leaning fan base. Also, the band's past has infamously intertwined with politics. Remember, in 2003, before the invasion of Iraq, lead singer Natalie Maines spoke out against the war at a concert. She also said the group, which got its start in Dallas, was ashamed that then-President George W. Bush was from Texas. Now, those remarks triggered boycotts and backlash from fans. The Chicks also performed at the virtual 2020 DNC during the pandemic. Well, we've been taking you down to the convention floor all week long, but before the real action starts tonight, we want to give you a look behind the scenes at what our reporters are seeing being in the middle of all of this.
Yeah, that's right. And our Braden Ross is standing by to show us just that. She's going to show us around. Braden, what does it look like down there?
Hi guys, yeah, I'm going to give you a fun little tour of the floor down here, and I wanted to start right here in Sweet Home, Wisconsin. This is the Wisconsin delegation section here, and what's really fun about these poles that are around here is they actually do still have landlines on them. So I don't know how often they're actually using these, but they do work, and they're a way for the DNC leadership and everyone to talk to people down on the floor when situations get loud and things get hectic. So that's fun. Also here, this is where the mic was when Tony Evers gave his famous little cheese heads all around him and during the roll call. This is where he did that. So that's really cool. But behind me is the stage, and this is one of the most fun parts about where the Wisconsin delegation is. They have a front row seat to all this stuff. We just saw Pink up here sound checking. Surprise, Pink will be on later tonight if you didn't hear. But I'm going to walk a little bit this way. Let's head over here. It's tight quarters on the floor already, and that's even before the program has started. Once the program starts, it gets almost impossible to walk around down here. It's really shoulder to shoulder. But if you look back here, this is the entire convention floor here. Pennsylvania delegation, Delaware, California is over there. Back there, too, are the prompter screens, the teleprompter screens, and those can be fun to watch. When we were at the RNC, we got to watch those as well as Trump was speaking, and that was kind of fun to see when he went off script and all of that. The other thing I want to point out over here, you may remember seeing Brady Mallory up very with a bird's eye view. Those suites up there, that's where he is, all the way up there. And I was up there last night. It's funny because it kind of gives you vertigo looking down because you're so high up here in the United Center that it makes you feel a little dizzy. But let's keep going back this way a little bit, and I'll show you a little bit more. We are not the networks, but the networks do have really fun suites. Up here, they have very specialized suites that they build out, I'm sure, weeks in advance, maybe even a month in advance. They probably start planning those. You can see back there, we've got CNN, NBC, Fox, CBS, ABC, BBC News even has a suite here. So this is really fun to be down on the floor here. I'll be honest, it's a really exciting thing that we get to do, to be down here. And I wanted to show you a little bit of the behind the scenes, but we had to do it early because it's already starting to fill up down here on the floor, and it's going to get even worse throughout the night. So when we check back in with us, you'll probably see us shoulder to shoulder with people. But I'll send it back to you guys for now.
Braden, thank you. Glad you got some space to run around down there. Well, for the first time in its history, the Democratic National Convention has opened its doors to social media influencers, some of them taking the stage even to address the crowd.
More than 200 influencers were invited to attend the DNC this week. 24-year-old Deja Fox, a reproductive rights activist and content creator, addressed the convention earlier this week. Now, the Arizona native says the economy is top of mind for young voters planning to cast their ballots in November.
Young people, we know, do not need to be policy experts to know that there is a difference between getting by and getting ahead, and young people deserve a shot at getting ahead, and not just the ones who started out at the top. And so young people are thinking about, how do I move out of my parents' house? How do I catch up after losing years of my life, my professional life, personal life, to a pandemic?
So I volunteered on campus. Two of the youngest Democratic delegates are from the state of Minnesota and are also at the convention to represent a new generation of voters. Meanwhile, Republican nominee for President Donald Trump is visiting the border in Arizona. The former president has made immigration central to his re-election campaign, with most of his policies tying back to the flow of migrants over the southern border in some form. This will be Trump's third visit to the border this cycle. He visited the border in Texas twice, November 19th, 2023, when Texas Governor Greg Abbott endorsed him, and February 29th, 2024, roughly 1 month after he told Senate Republicans to vote against the border deal. And we are continuing to bring you the latest from the DNC. We're having a special show on air on channel3000.com. That's starting tonight at 7:30. Oofta, here we go. It's been a cooler week across southern Wisconsin, but a warm-up is on the way, Maddie. How about that?
Sounds great. Let's get a look at your first forecast with meteorologist Blaze Keller. Hey, Blaze.
Hello. We are looking at a mild end to the work week, but then things change as we look ahead to the weekend, beginning as early as Sunday, but possibly lasting through Tuesday of next week. However, Monday is going to be our alert day as models continue to bring triple-digit heat index values across southern Wisconsin. We're taking a look there on Future Track at about 4:30 on Monday afternoon. Some of us flirting with maybe 110 degrees is what it may feel like, but actual temperatures will be a little bit cooler in those low 90s. So the reason is because not only is it going to be hot temperature-wise, but our dew points are going to be climbing into those upper 70s to low 80s, which is very tropical air. So that could stick around into Tuesday, but for now, we're at least going to put that alert day on Monday. The risk from heat map showing a majority of southern Wisconsin underneath that major threat from that heat, and you need to make sure that you are staying cool and hydrated beginning as early as Sunday. Check in on the elderly and pets. Wear lightweight clothing and light colored clothing. And again, if you do have to be outside, limit your time and take many breaks. And water is going to make sure that you stay hydrated versus, say, sodas or other drinks. Quiet on the radar 3000 with temperatures in those 70s right now. And that's the same across Dane County, too. Maybe flirting with the 80s around Cross Plains and Sauk City. Tonight's forecast, we're headed into the 50s, the last mild night here across southern Wisconsin. We're going to track out when the relief from next week's heat arrives, coming up in just a few minutes.
Hey, thanks, Blaze. And if you can see behind us, there's some people coming in. I haven't seen the chicks yet, but I've been watching.
He has been watching right over the shoulder. Well,
guilty.
Ahead at Live at 4, we head back to Madison for our news of the day.
And the latest on the death of Devontae Mitchell as the 4 hotel workers charged in his death enter pleas. That's next at 4.
I'm Eric Hovde, and I approve this message.
There's a side of Eric Hovde you might not know. In his 20s, he was diagnosed with MS, and in that moment, his life and priorities changed. Eric started Hovde Homes. Hovde Homes rescue abandoned children from sex trafficking and slavery. For children who never experienced real love, Hovde Homes offer the love, care, and support they need to heal. MS changed Eric's life, and thousands of children are alive today because of it.
Some lucky fan will win 4 Packers season tickets for 1 year, all because of Packers scratch games from the Wisconsin Lottery.
But who will it be?
This could be Debbie's year.
That looks like someone who could win up to $50,000 in instant cash prizes.
But don't count out Tim.
Maybe he'll win one of the MVP tailgate experiences.
Then there's Raymond.
Legend.
4 Packers season tickets for 1 year could be his.
Or yours.
Ticket prices range from $1 to $10, available at Wisconsin Lottery retailers.
Tens of millions of roofs across America are failing, wearing out decades early and leaking, oftentimes without you knowing about it, causing tremendous damage. Here's how you know you have a problem with your roof. Black streaking, your roof looks rough, or granules shedding off into your gutters or showing up in your driveway. Your roof is wearing out too fast, and it's going to cost you a bundle. RoofMax makes your roof like new by strengthening and rejuvenating it. So give us a call, and we'll give you a free assessment to see if your roof qualifies.
I'm Vice President of the National Border Patrol Council. America needs a commander-in-chief who's tough on illegal immigration. Kamala Harris fails that test.
We're not going to treat people who are undocumented across the border as criminals. That's correct. That is correct.
Kamala was Biden's border czar. She supported sanctuary cities and taxpayer benefits for illegal immigrants. And she created the worst border crisis in American history. Kamala Harris is dangerous.
Preserve America PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
This is you. And you are why we do what we do. Each and every one of you are wonderful, amazing people. So we'll treat you that way on your journey of trusted care. Because the way you feel matters. Unity Point Health Meritor, a partner of UW Health, know how much you matter to this world.
Kamala Harris has spent decades fighting violent crime. As a border state prosecutor, she took on drug cartels and jailed gang members for smuggling weapons and drugs across the border. As vice president, she backed the toughest border control bill in decades. And as president, she will hire thousands more border agents and crack down on fentanyl and human trafficking. Fixing the border is tough. So is Kamala Harris.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4, moving forward.
Thank you for staying with us for Live at 4. We now head to some more local news. A Platteville man has died following his injuries he sustained in a motorcycle crash. The Grant County Sheriff's Office says 27-year-old Trevor King was driving his motorcycle southbound on Highway 61 in Potosi last week. A car driven by a Cuba City man was westbound and did not stop at a stop sign and hit King. King and his passenger, 25-year-old Paige Adams, were seriously injured. King unfortunately later died from his injuries. Adams still remains in critical condition. The man who ran the stop sign and his 3 passengers were not injured. 4 former hotel workers have pleaded not guilty to felony murder in connection with the death of Devontae Mitchell. All 4 men have been released from jail on cash bond, and a source familiar with the situation confirmed that they've all been fired from the hotel. 43-year-old Devontae Mitchell died in June after being pinned to the ground outside of Hyatt Hotel in Milwaukee. The encounter was partially caught on video. According to the autopsy, Mitchell died from restraint asphyxia and toxic effects of cocaine and methamphetamine. Mitchell's mother asked for the judge to deny the bond reduction.
Since the death of my son and seeing that the video when he was beat to death has taken a major emotional toll on me and my family. We've been having nightmares and are unable to sleep due to this malicious murder of my child. In all honesty, I don't feel like the charges against them is severe enough. It's one of the lowest class of felony on the totem pole.
The men involved in the case will be back in court in October. It's been cooler this week across Madison, but are we in store for a warm-up this week? Let's get a look at your first one forecast with Blaze Keller. Blaze?
Yes, we are anticipating, and we told you about this last weekend, towards the end of last week as well. We were anticipating a warm-up, and that does look to arrive as we go into not only the end of your weekend, but the start of your next work week. We have issued an alert day for at least Monday. This could extend into Tuesday, but we're going to wait to see if more model data supports that the humidity is going to be sticking around into Tuesday, because a cold front may sweep on through and start to bring us some relief going later into Tuesday, further into Wednesday. But for now, we are looking at the hottest day to be Monday. This is a look at what it could feel like. Upper 90s to low 100s, some of us even in those low 10s as we continue to see the heat and humidity move its way northwards. Not only are we expecting a little bit of sunshine and southerly winds on Monday, but the real reason why it's going to feel as hot as it does is because of these dew points. Upper 70s to low 80s, very tropical air is going to be moved from essentially the Gulf of Mexico northwards over the Midwest. We really do not see dew points like this. So this is the reason why it's going to feel so hot and so humid as we kick off our next work week. And the reason why we've got a moderate to major, anybody in the red there, underneath a major risk from heat. So you need to make sure, starting as early as Sunday and at least through Tuesday, make sure that you are drinking plenty of water. Make sure that you are wearing lightweight and light colored clothing to avoid absorbing as much heat as possible and overheating your body if you are outside. And if you happen to be outside, whether it is for work or for play, take frequent breaks. As dew points that high and temperatures that high, you are going to easily be underneath that stress of succumbing to either heat stroke or heat exhaustion. Tonight, though, we are going to be mild. This is probably going to be the last mild night, at least over the next couple of days, as our high pressure system that brought us these comfortable conditions is beginning to exit the Midwest. It's quiet on the radar 3000 as temperatures sit in those mid to upper 70s. A few of us, though, in the low 70s. Mineral Point in Platteville, 72 and 73 degrees. 75 Sun Prairie into Madison, into McFarland. 75 in Perry as well, nearing 80 in Sauk City. Speaking of tomorrow, Friday, we're ending the work week on a seasonal note. We should be right around 79 degrees, but we'll hang out in those low 80s. A little bit of haze in the atmosphere as well, but it is going to be a quiet end to the work week. And then Saturday, just a little bit warmer. And then Sunday, we get into those mid to upper 80s, if not the low 90s. Friday, unfortunately, there is going to be a little bit of haze in the atmosphere, but a lot of that thicker smoke is going to stay off to our north. What we're not going to see over the next 10 days is rain, which is actually unfortunate because especially northern Wisconsin, they could use a little bit of rain. They are a little bit on the drier side. So we could use some, and we may see some rain move through the area starting later Tuesday, but it does look like at least Friday through Monday, we are going to be dry, hot, and humid beginning on Sunday. We are back into more seasonal air by that following weekend.
All right, sounds good, Blaze. There's more to come at Live at 4. Up next, we sit down with Wisconsin Democratic Senator Tammy Baldwin as she gives us a preview of what she's going to talk about tonight at the DNC. Live from Chicago, next on Live at 4.
Before she was the most liberal U.S. Senator, Kamala Harris was the liberal San Francisco prosecutor, the most progressive in all of California. She let an MS-13 gang member go, who then murdered a father and his 2 sons. She agreed to release another felon, who then committed murder. And Kamala even protected illegal alien drug dealers so they could escape deportation. Kamala Harris, a dangerous San Francisco liberal. Make America Great Again, Inc. is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Champion's big window sale is back.
Do you have ugly, hard-to-open, drafty windows? Now is the best time to buy new Champion windows, because when you buy 2, you get 2 free. Buy 2 Champion windows, get 2 free? I guess that means if you buy 4, you get 4 free. Buy 6, get 6 free. Buy 10, get 10 free.
Hurry, Champion's Buy 2, Get 2 free sale is for a limited time.
Great job, everybody. Thanks.
Call 888-4CHAMPION or schedule your free in-home estimate online today.
It's time for Good News, Madison.
The pedestrian mall is right here in the heart of downtown Madison on the 400, 500, 600 blocks of State Street. Over the course of the summer, we bring people down here to enjoy everything that's happening, the events that are currently being planned. The public can check out flocktostate.com to see all of the events, and they're changing in real time from July all the way through October.
And that is Good News, Madison, brought to you by Don's Home Furniture.
Some things are big, others are huge. It's Empire Today's half-price sale. Get $2,400 of flooring for $1,200, $5,200 for an amazing $2,600. That's half the price of your entire purchase. Shop for carpet, hardwood, vinyl, and laminate right from home and have it professionally installed. Don't miss Empire's half-price sale. Schedule now.
800-588-2300 Empire.
Today.
Choosing to celebrate the special moments. For those recovering from stroke, injury, or illness, choosing Encompass Health for inpatient rehabilitation may just be their most important choice.
Right now, we're running our 60-60-60 sale, so when you purchase your new concrete coating, you get a $60 Visa gift card plus either 60% off installation or 60-month no-interest financing. This is one of our best deals of the year, so visit our website or call the number for your new floor today.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
The alarming spike in inflation soaring to its highest level in nearly 40 years.
That is called Bidenomics.
Gas prices rose again today, reaching a new all-time high.
We're still dealing with inflation, and we've got super high interest rates at the same time.
Bidenomics is working.
2/3 of Americans are just struggling to make ends meet.
And this comes after Friday's jobs report showing a spike in unemployment.
And we are very proud of Bidenomics.
Live from Chicago, this is News 3 Now's special coverage of the Democratic National Convention.
Welcome back. We're here with Senator Tammy Baldwin. Thank you for being on with us.
I'm delighted to join you.
I was just reading an article that you published, and you called Wisconsin a tipping point in this election.
Yes.
Why do you feel that way?
Well, we are the battleground state, and if you think of how close the races were, last presidential in Wisconsin decided by less than a percentage point, but the one before that also by less than a percentage point. We have close races in Wisconsin all the time. It's to be expected, and that's why I say that I think we could decide who the next president is, what party controls the U.S. Senate, and frankly, with all our exciting congressional races, we could play a mighty role in flipping the House. So all of that is true about Wisconsin, but it hasn't escaped the notice of the parties, right? So you had the Republican convention in Milwaukee. We have the Democratic convention here in Chicago, which I do believe is a sort of recognition that a lot of Midwest states are going to play a key role. You know, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania are all battleground states, but I think we're the battleground state.
You're set to take the stage tonight. What can we expect to hear from you?
Well, I will tell you that I'm going to talk about family. And as you've seen these evenings unfold, there's like a theme or a series of themes that are unfolding throughout the night. I don't want to tip off too much of what I'm going to say, but I want to paint a picture of the choice that's before voters.
And speaking of voters, you know, you mentioned all the energy here, and there have been a lot of celebrities here, a lot of big names. That doesn't guarantee winning an election. So how do you get the message out to rural voters who might be undecided, who maybe feel like they don't know where they fit in? How do you say, we're working for you? How do you get those votes?
Yeah, well, for me, it's about being dedicated to travel throughout the state. I didn't make the first couple of days of this convention because I was in northwestern Wisconsin, meeting with voters, trying to build up the excitement around the convention. But it's important to me to travel to purple counties, red counties, blue counties, to be in rural areas, urban areas, suburban areas. Just last week we rolled out Rural Leaders for Tammy, and it was an incredible tour of the state where we were on family farms, we were at Wisconsin Farm Technology Day in Cadott, and so just making sure that we continue to talk about well, first of all, the stark differences in the candidate positions and the party's positions. And so people know who really is fighting for them, not just the powerful and the well-connected and the wealthy.
And speaking of our state, obviously Harris and Trump, they're not the only ones in a tight race right now. Tell us, what are those defining issues in your race this fall?
Well, so my opponent and I could not be more different, aside from the fact that he owns a $3 billion California bank and a $7 million Laguna Beach home. On the issues that Wisconsinites care most deeply about, couldn't be more diametrically opposed. He cheered the overturning of Roe versus Wade. I am the Senate leader on the Women's Health Protection Act, which would restore Roe by putting it into our federal statutes. I helped write the Affordable Care Act when I was in the House of Representatives, including writing the provision that allows young people to stay on their parents' health insurance till they turn 26, giving insurance to millions who didn't have it before, and my opponent wants to repeal it. On Social Security and Medicare, he endorses a plan that would cut those programs, and including Medicaid and veterans benefits, and all to give a huge tax break to the very wealthy. I want to lower taxes for working people, but I want the wealthy to pay their fair share. And as somebody who was raised by her grandparents, the fight for Social Security and Medicare is personal to me.
We saw at the RNC everyone in the Republican Party unite behind former President Donald Trump. That was in question here when there was a little bit of fatigue with President Joe Biden. Do you think we would have had this same energy here had he stayed on, or was it the right decision to drop out of the race?
So I don't want to speculate about how a different convention that's not happening would have been, but I do believe that Joe Biden has had great accomplishments over a career lasting decades. And I also think it was the most patriotic thing for him to do, to decide to step aside. And it has created the feeling of a new beginning, both for our party and for our country.
Senator Baldwin, thank you very much for being on with us today.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
We'll be right back.
She grew up in a middle-class home. She was the daughter of a working mom, and she worked at McDonald's while she got her degree. Kamala Harris knows what it's like to be middle class. It's why she's determined to lower healthcare costs and make housing more affordable. Donald Trump has no plan to help the middle class, just more tax cuts for billionaires. Being president is about who you fight for, and she's fighting for people like you.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
If your windows are leaky and drafty, it's possible they weren't installed properly. Many installers lack proper training, and shoddy installation leaves your home vulnerable to extreme weather. At Next Door & Window, we're reinventing window installation. Our approach ensures your windows are sealed tight and energy efficient. And your windows and doors will be installed by certified experts who treat your home as if it was their own. When you demand tomorrow's comfort, Next delivers. Visit nextwindow.com to learn more.
I'm so happy. I just put this dress on that I haven't worn in over 10 years.
This summer, feel confident from head to toe with Sono Bello permanent fat removal, and get summer body ready in just one visit.
I saw the results immediately. It's the best I have felt since I was in my 20s.
My waist is tiny. I'm very, very happy.
I'm nearly 50, y'all, and my abs haven't been this flat since before I had kids.
For a limited time, take advantage of Sono Bello's biggest sale of the year. Sono Bello's board-certified surgeons use micro-laser technology to safely target and remove your diet-resistant fat cells for good on your stomach, hips and thighs, back, and so much more.
It will change your life. It did for me.
I can't wait till the summertime hit. Hot Mom Summer, here I come.
Call 1-800-905-6520 now, or go to sonobello.com to claim special pricing.
My day is packed.
Client meetings,
patient rounds,
getting kids out the door.
But Eric Hovde thinks all women care about is Hollywood.
It's just deplorable. Sadly, with females, they spend too much time focused on what's going on in Hollywood.
Well, guess what, Eric Hovde?
We know you supported overturning Roe versus Wade.
And we know you'd vote for a national abortion ban, too.
Eric Hovde must think he knows better than us.
What is wrong with this guy?
I'm Tammy Baldwin, and I approve this message.
News 3 Now First Warn Weather is brought to you by Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor.
Discover a shopping and design experience as comfortable as the furniture. Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor. Schedule your free design consultation today.
Live from Chicago, This is News 3 Now's special coverage of the Democratic National Convention.
Welcome back to Live at 4. We are in our 4th day of the Democratic National Convention here in Chicago. You can tell that things are getting started. More people are walking behind us. It's getting a little louder in here.
Definitely. You keep turning over your shoulder, seeing who's behind us.
People watching.
Well, tonight is the biggest night yet as Vice President Kamala Harris is set to formally accept that Democratic nomination for president.
We have team coverage tonight as our political reporter Will Keneally and Braden Ross are on the DNC floor right now. And later on in the show, we'll head out to Lincoln Park Zoo with our anchors Eric Franke and Charlotte DeLeste. They'll be taking over the show from there.
That's right. But first, let's head down to the DNC floor where Will Keneally has a look at what we can expect from tonight's speakers. Hey, Will.
As you can see behind me, people are filing in. We're expecting the speaking portion of the night to kick on in about an hour or so. And we're in Wisconsin. We're looking ahead to the Senator Tammy Baldwin speech. We do know right now she's speaking a little bit early in prime time for about 3 minutes or so in a block with some other members of Congress. Some themes tonight that we're expecting to hear from speakers on this last night of the DNC include, we'll hear again from about January 6th, kind of drawing that connection on kind of the function of democracy there. Some gun violence issues as well. And we'll hear Trump court cases. That's been certainly a line that Democrats have been pushing with Kamala Harris, the former prosecutor there. And we'll continue to have live coverage on the floor here throughout the night. But for now, reporting from the United Center, Will Keneally, News 3 Now.
Thank you, Will. The Chicks are set to perform the national anthem tonight at the Democratic National Convention. The Grammy-winning trio, formerly known as the Dixie Chicks, is set to take the stage on the closing night of the DNC. Now, they're no stranger to politics. In 2003, before the invasion of Iraq, lead singer Natalie Maines spoke out against the war at a concert. Those remarks triggered boycotts and backlash from all sorts of fans. The Chicks also performed at the virtual 2020 DNC during the pandemic. Well, we've been hearing from plenty of voices on the left this week, but how are conservatives in Wisconsin responding to this convention?
Yeah, good question. Our Braden Ross spoke with one of the few Republicans credentialed here at the DNC. She's going to join us now. Braden, what is the conservative side saying about all of this?
Yeah, well, there aren't many of them around, but I did manage to find one conservative voice here. Bill McCoshen was the chief of staff for Wisconsin Governor Tommy Thompson back in the day, and I asked him how he thinks Republicans should be responding to all this here at the DNC. He's been here at the DNC and he was at the RNC, so he really can wrap up what Republicans need to message after what's going on here at the DNC. Take a listen to what he said.
Talk the pocketbook issues. At the end of the day, suburban women are going to have a lot to do with deciding this race, and I think Donald Trump needs to speak to them directly through pocketbook issues and immigration.
Ladies and gentlemen. And McCoshen has been to 5 national conventions in his life. He was also, like I said, at the RNC in Milwaukee last month. He told me that convention was the best he's ever been to, but he did say the DNC, and I quote, has it going on down here. He said there's definitely a vibe here at the DNC. So we'll, of course, see what happens tonight and what the messaging looks like, and then we'll see how Republicans respond moving forward. I'll talk to Bill again tonight after Kamala Harris speaks and see what his reaction is and what Republicans in Wisconsin will be looking at moving forward. But for now, reporting live in the United Center, Braden Ross, News 3 Now.
Braden, thank you. Well, meanwhile, Republican nominee for president Donald Trump is visiting the border in Arizona. The former president has made immigration central to his re-election campaign, with most of his policies tying back to the flow of migrants over the southern border in some form. This will be Trump's 3rd visit to the border this cycle. He visited the border in Texas twice, November 19th, 2023, when Texas Governor Greg Abbott endorsed him, and February 29th, 2024, roughly 1 month after he told Senate Republicans to vote against the border deal.
Yeah, and we're bringing you continuing coverage, the latest from the DNC here. We are actually having a special show air on channel 3000.com. It starts at 7:30 tonight.
It's been a beautiful week here at the DNC in Chicago, but back at home, a warm-up is on the way.
Sounds good. Let's get a look at your first morning forecast with meteorologist Blaze Keller. Hey, Blaze.
Hello. Yes, I'm sure it is very lovely down there in Chicago. Back at home in southern Wisconsin, probably very similar conditions. Things are going to be changing, though, as we look ahead to the end of your weekend into the start of next week. We've gone ahead and issued an alert day for Monday. Later this evening, if not tomorrow, we may include Tuesday. It just depends on if models want to keep the humidity around into Tuesday. They want to bring it into Monday for sure as our temperatures climb into the low 90s, our heat index values surpassing that into the low triple digits, if not into the 110s kind of degree threshold. So it is going to feel very hot and humid on your Monday as dew points climb into the upper 70s, if not the low 80s. That is air that we would typically find along, if not over the Gulf of Mexico, because that is just tropical air. We don't feel that here across southern Wisconsin. And that's the reason why we also have a moderate, if not major risk from heat across nearly all of our coverage area. Anybody there in the red, you need to make sure that you are staying hydrated, drinking plenty of water beginning Sunday through at least Tuesday. If you are outside, make sure that you are taking breaks, wear lightweight and light colored clothing. Light colors like whites and more bright colors are not going to absorb as much heat as, say, darker colors. And of course, check in on elderly friends, family, and pets. Pets especially, since they do have to, especially dogs, have to be outside to relieve themselves. Try to limit their time outdoors as well. Quiet, though, in the meantime, as we begin to wrap up the second to last full week of August. We're in those 70s. It's 72 in Waukesha, 74 in Platteville, 73 Monroe into Dane County, right around 75 degrees, a little bit warmer there towards Sauk City. The Wisconsin River Cross Plains are coming in at 77 as well. 50s tonight, mild with some light winds. We are going to track out the relief from next week's heat in the full forecast.
Thank you, Blaze. Next on Live at 4, we will talk with some of Wisconsin's delegates.
Yeah, they tell us what they're hoping to get from the Democratic National Convention. That's when we come back.
Kamala Harris has spent decades fighting violent crime. As a border state prosecutor, she took on drug cartels and jailed gang members for smuggling weapons and drugs across the border. As vice president, she backed the toughest border control bill in decades. And as president, she will hire thousands more border agents and crack down on fentanyl and human trafficking. Fixing the border is tough. So is Kamala Harris.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
This right here is confidence in a bottle.
It makes me feel so much more confident than I've ever felt.
They are some of the hottest videos on social media. Those videos claiming to instantly get rid of bags under your eyes. Annette Figueroa is here to tell us why she says this one is for real.
This one is for real, and I'm so excited. We even have a video, and all he uses is a small amount on a clean, dry face. And what it does is it tightens and lifts the appearance of bags underneath your eyes. And I did this to my father. We were at home, so we applied it to his under eye bags, and let me tell you, we were so excited. In under 10 minutes, they visibly disappeared from view, and now it is literally part of both of our daily routines. And not only does it work on the bags, it works on the appearance of crow's feet, fine lines, and wrinkles.
At our $14.95 price, it's the best way to try Plexiderm and see it work after your first application. Your solution is at plexidermtrial.com or call the number on your screen.
Hi there. Brad Beasley and my daughter Marlena here for Tundraland.
It's back to school time, and together we can help Wisconsin kids in need.
We call it Bath to Backpack.
With your help, Tundraland will donate one backpack filled with school supplies to a local student for every appointment this month.
And for a limited time, you get free installation, no payments for a full year, and free upgraded fixtures.
We all win.
Call 1-800-TUNDRALAND or go to tundraland.com today.
800-TUNDRALAND. Tundraland.com. Captime's Idea Fest is back for a week of powerhouse speakers and sessions exploring important local and national topics. September 15th through the 21st in Madison. This year's guest speakers include Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi, former Member of Congress Liz Cheney, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, and historian Heather Cox Richardson, along with many others. Idea Fest brings together changemakers to discuss Wisconsin's triumphs and failures to help reach a better state. Purchase your tickets today at captimesideafest.com to join this premier thought festival.
New at 5, a 19-year-old UW-Madison student shares excitement as one of Wisconsin's youngest delegates here at the Democratic National Convention.
After a seasonal couple of days here across southern Wisconsin, the heat and humidity is set to return. We're going to track out just how hot we'll get tonight at 5.
Ahead at 6, we reveal how one local group is doing more than just preparing students tonight on News 3 Now at 6.
Live from Chicago, this is News 3 Now's special coverage of the Democratic National Convention.
Good afternoon and welcome back to our live coverage of the Democratic National Convention. We are live once again from the beautiful Lincoln Park Zoo. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are actively rebranding their campaign after President Joe Biden stepped down from re-election, completely shifting the energy of the Democratic Party in just the last couple of months.
And our Merrill Hubbard spoke to one Madison delegate who shares what it's like to prepare for the DNC with the party's new tone.
One of Wisconsin's youngest delegates tells me what it's like to be a part of political history as a representative from the battleground Badger State.
It's probably one of the most exciting states to be involved in politics in and be a delegate from, because you're a part of that process, not just witnessing it.
Wisconsin is the state that doesn't just make beer and brats and cheese, we make presidents. And if you want to be president, you better spend some time in the dairy state.
95 Wisconsin delegates are going to the DNC, and there will be tens of thousands of people there for the event.
Democratic national conventions are a huge deal and a huge undertaking. They're actually a lot bigger than Republican conventions. We have a lot more delegates who come to ours.
21% of Democratic delegates are under 36 years old. That means many of them will be first-timers to the DNC.
I've never been to a Democratic National Convention before.
Henry Fries is 19 years old, just old enough to qualify as a delegate, and he's watched the dynamic of the Democratic Party change overnight. He says when Biden was on the ticket, voters...
They weren't very energized to get out, but with these two new names on the top of the ticket, it's really an exciting time because you see a complete reversal.
Henry grew up in Wapaka, Wisconsin, and now he is a student at UW-Madison. His passion for politics started during his junior year of high school, and his rural roots have followed him ever since.
Coming from a rural background, I've met a lot of people that disagree with me on many things, everything, but having an open dialogue really fosters ways to, approach problems in new ways.
Now he is the supervisor for District 5 in Dane County and has high hopes for the DNC.
I hope that it is more about how can we as a party bring all these people together.
Reporting in Madison, Merrill Hubbard, News 3 Now.
And stay with us here on Live at 4 as we continue our coverage of the final night of the Democratic National Convention.
Director of the Marquette Law School, Paul Charles Franklin, will join us as we look back on last night's speech by Governor Tim Walz and look forward to Vice President Kamala Harris's speech tonight.
Drugs, gangs, and crime are flooding into our communities. But instead of getting tough on the border, Senator Tammy Baldwin supported amnesty for 11 million illegal immigrants, including convicted criminals. Criminals like an illegal immigrant with multiple DUI charges who went on to kill a Wisconsin father of 3 while driving drunk again. Tell Senator Tammy Baldwin no amnesty for illegal immigrants, especially criminals. Vote to secure the border.
Get an 11% rebate on all roofing and siding at Menards. Update your home with your choice of 13 timeless colors of pre-finished engineered wood siding. It's durable and includes a Sherwin-Williams machine-applied paint warranty that means no painting for years to come. Protect your home with Atlas shingles. They feature a limited lifetime and up to 130 miles per hour wind warranty. Get an 11% rebate on everything.
Save big money at Menards.
Your heart is failing. 4 words no one ever wants to hear. I'm Mike, and this is my team at Northwestern Medicine. Blood clots in my lungs were causing my heart to fail.
Top 10 in the nation for heart and vascular surgery. Only Northwestern Medicine had the solution to save Mike. Using a breakthrough treatment that reached the remote clots deep in the lungs that surgery couldn't, tiny balloons were used to gently open the delicate vessels, restoring blood flow. Not long ago, there was no solution. But it's advancements like these that make Northwestern Medicine a destination for second opinions. Northwestern Medicine in Chicago is a leading destination for heart and vascular care. If you've been diagnosed with a complex heart or vascular condition, no matter where you live, a second opinion from Northwestern Medicine may be for you. Northwestern Medicine. What makes us better makes you better.
Imagine trying to take on one of the big car companies. It's not easy. Yet this year, one local law firm finalized the largest compensatory verdict in state history against an automaker, over $38 million. And it was no fluke. That same firm has been holding big car companies accountable for faulty designs that cause injury for over 50 years. Because Wisconsinites know who to call when it's a must-win scenario. They call Habish, Habish & Rotier. National reputation, hometown service.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
The alarming spike in inflation soaring to its highest level in nearly 40 years.
That is called Bidenomics.
Gas prices rose again today, reaching a new all-time high.
We're still dealing with inflation, and we've got super high interest rates at the same time.
Bidenomics is working.
2/3 of Americans are just struggling to make ends meet.
And this comes after Friday's jobs report showing a spike in unemployment.
And we are very proud of Bidenomics.
Live from Chicago, this is News 3 Now's special coverage of the Democratic National Convention.
And live once again from the Lincoln Park Zoo, we continue our coverage of the Democratic National Convention on what Democrats hope will be a final crowning moment here of the nomination process of Kamala Harris.
And once again, we are joined back in Madison by Marquette Law School poll director Charles Franklin to get his perspective. And Charles, let's jump right in with a look back at last night's show. And it really was quite the show with the likes of Stevie Wonder, Sheila E., and John Legend, capped off with Tim Walz. So what did you think of his speech last night?
I thought it was an interesting speech. It was a mix of football metaphors and what it was like to be in a small town in Minnesota, but it also had some bits that appealed to the Democratic base voters, talking about marriage equality, for example. So I thought it was an effective speech, well given, and he was alone on the stage for it, not in the shadow of Vice President Harris. We'll see how the public responds, but I think Democrats should be pretty pleased with that speech last night.
Yeah, he sure seemed like a Midwestern guy to those watching. I think, Charles, you could say the Republicans put on a pretty good show last month in Milwaukee. A lot of people maybe didn't think the former President Trump's speech was all that great on the last night, but it was a pretty good show in Milwaukee. Have the Democrats matched it, exceeded it? How would you compare these two conventions?
I think it's been generally a well-run show, and I think it's come in pieces. There have been nights and speakers that were very much the aggressive attacks on Trump and appeals to the Democratic base, rallying that base, unifying it, getting it to turn out. But we saw, especially last night with Oprah's speech, who said, I'm an independent and, you know, this is what you should do. We also saw it with the former Lieutenant Governor of Georgia, a Republican, saying voting for Harris doesn't make you not a Republican, it makes you a patriot. So that was the appeal across the line, party lines. And I think Walz's speech was, as I said, a mix of those. There were parts of it that were very much the appeal to independents, uncommitted voters, but there was also stuff there for the party faithful as well.
Charles, what does Kamala Harris have to do tonight to hit that home run in this acceptance speech?
Well, she has to rise to the occasion. The speeches she's been giving at rallies, including in Milwaukee on Tuesday, I think are a good example of the kinds of speeches she can give. I'll be listening to see if the speech tonight opens up new avenues. The speech in Milwaukee and on the campaign trail are mostly appeals to the Democratic base. But tonight, does she broaden that appeal? Does she offer any more specifics about policy? And how long does it run? And do they manage to get her on the stage in prime time?
Charles, what do you think? What are your thoughts on how these conventions have evolved through the years? I go back to, I think my first one, I was a young kid watching the Reagan-Mondale election of '84. How have these conventions evolved through the years?
Well, if we go way back to the 50s and 60s, the conventions really mattered because deals would be cut in the convention that could shift the support for a candidate. Now, we didn't have any open conventions in that time, but we had some where there was real drama as to who would get to the majority of the delegates. That started changing in 1972, and since about 1980, we really haven't had a very close convention. Instead, it's a programmed set of things that the party wants the public to hear, speakers they want them to see, and some tape of video elements that have been creeping their way into the events as well. I think the Democrats pioneered with music this week. Their playlist is already pretty popular on Spotify.
All right, Charles, thank you so much. Charles Franklin joining us. We look forward to getting your thoughts tomorrow on Live at 4 as we look ahead to the final 75 days of this election. Charles, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, now let's go to Blaze Keller. He's got our first warn forecast.
And we are tracking at least one, possibly two alert days here across southern Wisconsin as we look ahead to that final full week of August. We're tapping back into some heat and humidity we haven't seen since about the end of July. Monday is an alert day, and maybe starting earlier this evening, if not tomorrow, Friday, if the models continue to keep that humidity around, we may need to add Tuesday into that. Current models have us climbing into those triple digits in terms of heat index values on Monday. Now, if models continue to keep that heat and humidity around, we'll certainly climb back into triple-digit feeling air as we go into Tuesday before a cold front moves through and starts to cool us off starting on Wednesday. So we're going to just continue to watch the model data, but Monday does and has been the warmest day over the next 10. And also it has some of our highest dew points into the upper 70s to low 80s. And that's the reason why we continue to see, and this has actually grown a bit since even earlier in the show in the 4 o'clock hour, a lot more red across southern Wisconsin, indicating that major threat from heat as we look ahead to Monday. In terms of 90+ degree days this year, we've only had 5. And again, that last one was on July 31st. We've had 0 in August, and typically over the last 155 years, the average August usually records about 2 90-degree+ days. So we are kind of below average in terms of 90-degree days for August. We say goodbye to them actually yesterday, so it will be interesting to see if we squeeze out any here before we go into September. 50s tonight, a mild end to your Thursday when it's quiet on radar 3000. Temperatures are in those 70s. No 80s out there, but we are close along the Wisconsin River. Near Sauk City and Wanakee, we're in those 76, 77 degree area. We're going to be into the 80s tomorrow. Light southwesterly wind, a little bit of haze out there. And I wanted to show you that super blue moon that occurred the other day. Thank you, Lonnie, for taking that photo. It is an absolutely gorgeous one. You can always send them to us either online or that QR code right there. There's a look at your 7 and 10 day forecast. Again, an alert day for Monday, could add Tuesday into that. So stay with News 3 now. We will keep you updated, but we do get a relief from the heat and humidity by at least Thursday of next week. Stay with News 3 now. We'll be right back.
What would you think of a man who builds homes to rescue children from abandonment, sex trafficking, and slavery?
An employer who does charitable work alongside us and pays for us to go around the world helping kids in need.
He helps single moms in Wisconsin.
Funds food banks here.
And fights sex trafficking across America.
That man is my husband, Eric, and he'll fight for you, just like he fights for them.
I'm Eric Hovde, and I approve this message.
After careful review of medical guidance and research on pain relief, my recommendation is simple. Every home should have Salon Paws. Powerful, yet non-addictive. Targeted and long-lasting. I recommend Salon Paws. It's good medicine.
Certain this is gonna work?
Nothing to it.
For Imprint certain?
Certainty matters. 4imprint is your home for promo gear to wow clients and inspire your team. Check out 4imprint.com.
4imprint, for certain.
Shop, donate, or volunteer today at Dane County Humane Society's thrift store.
We've got clothes, home goods, toys, furniture, and more, and every dollar you spend goes to support the comfort and care of animals in need. Visit giveshelter.org/thrift to learn how you can help.
Before she was the most liberal U.S. Senator, Kamala Harris was the liberal San Francisco prosecutor, the most progressive in all of California. She let an MS-13 gang member go, who then murdered a father and his 2 sons. She agreed to release another felon, who then committed murder. And Kamala even protected illegal alien drug dealers so they could escape deportation. Kamala Harris, a dangerous San Francisco liberal. Make America Great Again, Inc. is responsible for the content of this advertising.
New at 5, a 19-year-old UW-Madison student shares excitement as one of Wisconsin's youngest delegates here at the Democratic National Convention. And then a look at the convention speakers through a Wisconsin lens. That's coming up next.
News 3 Now brings you team coverage from the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. We'll talk to delegates about the issues that matter right here in Wisconsin. Campaign 2024 DNC coverage live from Chicago. All this week on News 3 Now. Now take a look at this as the Democratic National Convention continues here in Chicago. Delegates are sure putting on their Sunday best.
Check out these crazy hats from the DNC. This one is a delegate from Florida who had a shoe on her hat, along with some words of wisdom and encouragement like hope and joy. She was also rocking a bejeweled jacket. Some people wore patriotic hats as well and had supportive buttons on their hats. We'll be right back.
At Harker Heating and Cooling, you can save a whole bunch of money when you buy an air conditioner. You know what's even better? Saving even more money when you purchase an air conditioner and a furnace at the same time.
Harker Heating and Cooling.
My son Joshua was 18 years old when he was murdered by an illegal alien. He was tortured, strangled to death, and then set on fire. When I hear Kamala Harris making a joke about the border and just laughing it off, it's painful. Kamala Harris was in charge of securing our border, and she's done nothing. If Kamala Harris is elected president, it'll get worse. If it can happen to my family, it can happen to yours.
Preserve America PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Are you suffering with neck pain, back pain, or sciatica due to disc-related conditions? You may have tried drugs, spinal injections, or physical therapy just to find out it didn't help. You're not alone. The problem is that some of those treatments focus on symptom relief, but may not address the underlying disc problem. As a result of injury or overuse, the discs may bulge, herniate, or degenerate over time. Our therapies are highly successful and reduce pain associated with those conditions and may help you avoid neck or back surgery. At Midwest Spine and Nerve Center, we'll design a treatment program using the latest in pain-relieving therapies, including non-surgical spine decompression, Pro Adjuster 360 computerized technology, laser therapy, and more. Visit our website or call to schedule a complimentary consultation.
Maya knows how quality care can bring out a smile, but it's been a few dog years since she was able to enjoy a smile of her own. Good thing Aspen Dental offers affordable, complete care all in one place, with flexible hours and weekend appointments, plus 20% off treatment plans for everyone. Loving our patients unconditionally. It's one more way Aspen Dental is in your corner.
Come and get your love.
At Harker Heating and Cooling, you can save a whole bunch of money when you buy an air conditioner. You know what's even better? Saving even more money when you purchase an air conditioner and a furnace at the same time.
Harker Heating and Cooling.
And thanks for joining us on Live at 4 all week from Chicago's beautiful Lincoln Park Zoo.
Don't go anywhere. Our coverage continues from the Democratic National Convention next. News 3 Now at 5 starts right after a short break.